This is the Red Podcast.
This is episode number 86. You've watched buying frenzies from things like Black Friday and Cyber Monday and wondered how they happened and how you can do the same. That's what we're going to be talking about on this episode of the Red Podcast.
This is the Red Podcast. Real entrepreneur development. Make more money, work less, and live a life of freedom. No BS advice that really works. Here's your hosts, David Hooper and Laurel Staples.
Cyber Monday today.
Exciting.
You bought anything?
No.
I bought some socks.
We're really exciting, David. I'm not a huge consumer myself. We're minimalist.
Well, we are minimalists, but we live in a world where we earn the money and have the ability to get whatever we need when we need it. So when the holidays come around, there's really nothing to look forward to.
It's true. But minimalists still need socks.
They also need skincare and Love Your Face, still going strong. You hit the big 5 figures.
It is so exciting to hit that mark. We're not done yet. But
Not done yet.
We are close. We are very close.
So if you want to see what Laurel's doing, she's going to do this. She's got less than 2 more weeks till the deadline. lyface.com/Kickstarter for more information on that. If you give just $1, you will get to see the behind the scenes of this and use what she's doing in your own Kickstarter campaign. This is the Red Podcast. Red stands for Real Entrepreneur Development. We help you build an audience, sell more product, and make more money. We do that through personality marketing, bringing the personality of you out into the forefront so you can compete with everybody else who's doing basically the same thing. Because let's face it, we're all doing something very similar. We also bring the personality of your product out. Today, in honor of Cyber Monday, we're going to talk about what happens when you need more buyers, you need quick cash, you want to create a buying frenzy. First thing, I think, and this isn't necessarily Cyber Monday, but it's just a good foundation for us to talk about, Laurel, is making things personal.
That's absolutely what I've done on the Kickstarter campaign. I know we're not talking about Kickstarter today, but you have to make it personal if you want people to connect with what you're doing. And I think that's a great way to start out this Cyber Monday episode because that's really what connects you to your customers.
Yeah, if you look at the Love Your Face video, you're basically selling skincare products, but you do it in an emotional way that hits things twofold. One, the kids in the video, super cute, and you can see yourself in these kids, but it also talks to the adult in you. What is it that you want to do? So completely different than the actual skincare product itself. That's part of it, and it will enable you to do what you want to do.
That was something that we did specifically for this Kickstarter is we put ourselves in the video. And that was really important to us. There are plenty of Kickstarter videos out there without the founders in there. People aren't speaking to the camera, but we wanted to put ourselves in there and speak directly to the camera. And that to us is saying, look, we're here. We know you. We're trying to make it personal. And if you do want more buyers and you want to start selling things, I think that's a great way to do it.
And not only personality within the products that you're selling, but I think just personal stories. The mics that we're speaking into right now, the reason we got these mics was based on personal stories. They're very inexpensive mics, like $50 mics. I was looking at some mics that were more in the $500 range. That's what I'm used to using. But I heard some stories from these guys. They said, man, we're having some great luck with these $50 mics. Heard a couple of them. I said, okay, I'll give them a shot. And they've worked out really, really well. So it's not about the features. It's not about the price. It's about those personal stories. And I kept hearing these over and over again. If you can have somebody do that with your product, how did it change their life? How did it save them money? How are things different than they were before they had the product? That's going to help you sell a lot more than just saying like, hey, I've got this mic. Because there's a ton of mics available. Some cheaper than $50. A lot of them, as I mentioned, a lot more than $50.
I think that's a really big mistake that entrepreneurs make when they're marketing their products is they think their customers are really interested in advice or the features of the product. But customers are really interested in the story behind it. That's something that really connects with them because, as you said, David, your product or your service probably pretty similar to the thousands of other similar products and services out there. And your story is what makes you and your products different and stand out beyond your competitors.
I think that's the thing. If you can tell a story in a way that will relate to the customer that you're talking to. That's why Amazon reviews are so great. We look for people that are just like us. That's why we have these mics. We found people that were just like us because these are not broadcasting or podcasting mics. Found the story, though, of them being used by podcasters. So we don't have to think, hey, what would those mics be like in our situation? We already know.
The next way to get more buyers going on Cyber Monday is to sell fear.
That was very scary.
Sell fear. Dun, dun, dun.
Selling fear is twice as effective as selling positive aspects of things. People do more to avoid pain than they do receive pleasure. And if you look at advertising for something like fire alarms, you can see that. Insurance, you can see that. Think about a fire alarm commercial. Have you seen one lately?
Not lately.
Well, it's like a burning house. Like, what would you do if you lost everything? And it's not really talking about the fact that you were able to get out early. I guess they maybe add to that. That's like the side benefit. But you lost everything. They're assuming you're going to get out, but you're going to lose everything. And the funny thing is, you're still going to lose everything, but it's such a shock. Think about news, especially the news that we're seeing right now. Talk about Cyber Monday and Black Friday and all the chaos that's going on. There's something about humans that we love chaos. We're stimulated by it, and that's the same when it comes to buying things. We're very stimulated by fear. We're very stimulated by a sense of loss.
A lot of times we run into the situation that it's just that fear is reminding us of a pain point that we already have. For example, something in marketing might say, you don't want to be stuck in a job for the rest of your life, do you? Or you don't want to be stuck in a horrible job. So it's hitting on a pain point you already have, and then it's adding fear on top of that. It's like, hey, you're already in this pain point right now. You don't want to have that the rest of your life, which resonates with people more than something like, hey, here's a better job for you.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know what a better job is.
Exactly.
But they have experienced pain. I'm glad you brought that up. All education, all training. Think about how colleges are sold. Hey, you don't want to be stuck in that dead-end job, come to college night school. Or you don't want to be a loser, come to the 4-year college and make your parents proud. Don't want everybody mad at you, do you? I mean, we do that rather than saying it's just one option. They really harp more on, if you don't do this, here's what's going to happen, rather if you do this.
This is not something you have to be totally sleazy when you do it, when you're doing fear-based marketing, but you just think about your customers' pain points and then kind of build on them, and people will respond to them because you're offering a solution if you have a product or a service that addresses that. So it's just trying to get people to your solution, and it just helps if you hit on some of these fear pain points.
I think the best place to find examples of fear-mongering, conservative talk radio. If you listen to the ads on conservative talk radio, they're telling you, Obama's coming for your guns. Obama's coming for your money. You better invest in gold. You better go buy guns right now. You better get yourself some kind of shelter with some emergency food in it. Super, super fear-based. The stock market's going to crash any day now. You better invest here. Really kind of amazing. And it seems way over the top, but there are a lot of people, more than I think most people would admit, that live in that kind of world all the time. It's going to be up to you whether or not you want to go to that level, but it is a biological fact. Study after study has been done on this, is that people do more to avoid pain than to receive pleasure. There's a famous study that you may have read about, found 2 random people, and the experimenter would ask them, here's $100. You can split it any way you want. That's what they tell the first guy. And they would tell the second guy, if you don't like the split, you can walk away. Nobody gets anything. So it kind of keeps things honest. My dad, when I was little, he used to say, all right, we're going to split this cookie. I break it in half, you choose, or you break it in half and I choose. It keeps people honest. And what they found is that people would get to a certain level where they would just cancel everything out rather than having something that they wouldn't have had anyway. For example, I could split $100 right now with you, Laurel. 90%, 10%. I keep 90, you keep 10%. You would still be better off keeping the $10 because you had nothing. But you would rather not have me have anything and not have anything yourself rather than me feel like I've taken advantage of you.
There's a whole British game show based on that.
But it really is about psychology. That's all marketing and sales is. And that's one of the reasons that I find it so fascinating. Next up on our list, sense of urgency. We're seeing it right now. Cyber Monday, Black Friday sales, limited time. You can only get these deals today. Also, we see it a lot in infomercials.
We also see it in internet marketing, like a bonus for acting quickly, things like that.
Yeah, if you join this membership site today, you'll get an extra feature. You'll get an extra book, maybe some extra training. We see that a lot. How about limited quantity? You see that all the time. If you want to see this in action online, go to Amazon.com. They've got what they call gold box deals. They're only available for a certain amount of time, but there's only a certain number of these things available as well. So you got two things working against you.
I would say sense of urgency as a consumer is the one that gets me the most. Especially the ones that say, okay, it's this price for this amount of time, and then it goes up to the next price. That always gets me. You and I, we go to conferences, and that's one thing that really motivates us to buy tickets is buy now or the price doubles.
Well, let's take it back to the last thing that we said, the sense of fear and selling fear and the sense of something hurting you. Even if you don't need it sometimes, you're going to take action on this because you don't want to be a sucker or you don't want to have to pay more later. It's that sense of being hurt, and you're trying to avoid that pain rather than seeking out pleasure.
Also, it makes consumers act quickly, and that's good because if they sit around and think about your offer, they might really want what you have, but if you give them time to think about it, they're just going to forget about you. And something like that, that sense of urgency makes them act then while you're on the forefront of their mind and things get done. And that's what you really want to happen.
Yeah, a lot of this, I think, is done in service of your customer. Because when you think about it, you offer something. Let's say it's coaching or a book, maybe a CD, an audio book. If the customer delays, he's going to go home, he's going to have to fight traffic. He's going to have maybe his wife or her husband mad at her. The kids are going to be screaming, bills in the mailbox that need to be paid. What you could have done to help him is going to be further and further down his list. So you're not helping him in a way that you could. So this can be done in a very, very compassionate way and in a way that helps not only you, but helps your customer as well. So don't be afraid to pull these things out. I don't feel that they're manipulative at all. And if you would consider them manipulative, I think it could be done in a very good way.
David, you're familiar with Shopify, of course.
Shopify, yeah, the online cart company.
Yes, there is an app that goes with Shopify, and I'm pretty sure this app is called Happy Endings, which is hilarious. It gives a sense of urgency because if someone goes to your shopping cart, your online shopping cart, puts in a couple items, and then decides to leave the site, a window pops up with a different deal that they hadn't seen anywhere else on the site. It might say, if you buy now, you get 20% off. Here's the discount code. And this code doesn't pop up any other time unless they're trying to exit your site while they have things in the cart. So it creates that sense of urgency, like, hey, this is a one-time offer. You get this deal one time, and motivates people to act, and everyone has a happy ending.
Absolutely. Shopping cart abandonment is a huge problem if you don't have something to help mitigate that issue, such as the happy ending plugin on Shopify. You're going to be leaving money on the table. The best examples that I have seen of sense of urgency, infomercials. Think about the old Billy Mays infomercials, Ron Popeil, any of those that are just 30 minutes. Some of them are an hour. They want you to call now before the next one comes on. They do a great job of this. So if you can watch infomercials, you'll get a great lesson in building up urgency and what they do to get people to call in now. If you don't have that, QVC.
I did that at the gym the other day. I sat down and I was on the bike, the exercise bike, and the TV was on my specific exercise bike, and I turned it to an infomercial and I watched how they did it. People probably think I was getting sucked into this, but I was looking at the marketing aspect, and it's absolutely fascinating. We can learn so much from infomercials.
Yeah, definitely. If you want a direct sales education, you don't want to go to college, infomercials. That's the way to do it. What about the tease, Laurel?
The tease. Explain what the tease is.
The tease is, for lack of a better word, giving somebody a taste, a sample, and then pulling it away from them. I just read a great book. It's called Masters of Doom. It is about the company, the men behind a game called Doom, Castle Wolfenstein, Quake, these guys who did these first-person shooters back in the early 90s of what they became. One of the ways that they grew this business from just a couple guys hanging out, making little dinky computer programs into multi-millions of dollars was what I call the tease. Basically, what they would do is release a sample level, not the whole game, just the first part, so you could fully play it, fully experience it. Then they would have you send in a check. That's how long ago that it was. Actually, write it out on an envelope, stamp it, send it through the mail, and they would send you a code to unlock the rest of the program. And they were making millions of dollars doing this. But you still see this today. Sample levels, you can do this on iTunes all the time. If you've got an iPad or an iPod, iPhone, you can download free versions of games with a paid upgrade. We're using one right now, actually, to time Red Podcast. A lot of them are like that. But that's called the tease. You get to use a version of it, and then if you want more, you pay a little bit more.
For instance, a lot of authors let you download their first chapter for free.
Yeah, and Kindle does that automatically on Amazon.
Kindle does that. You can get free Lyft rides if you have Lyft in your town, which is like a taxi ride.
Lyft is a peer-to-peer service, very similar to a taxi. It's people with individual cars. You press a button on your phone, and they come pick you up, take you wherever you want to go. And we got started using that because they gave us some free rides. And once we were in the habit, we continued to use it, paying full price.
My favorite is free cookie samples in the grocery store.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, think about what Costco is doing that. How much stuff do we have from Costco?
A lot.
Because some little old lady said, hey, would you like to try some black bean spaghetti?
And you did. You bought a huge bag of that.
I know. We've eaten it once.
Yep.
If you can get people to use your product, which I think is the toughest thing to do, they'll likely keep using it, especially if you've got a good product.
You mentioned iPhones, and that got me thinking about social proof, kind of one of those things that everybody has it. Why don't you have it? And if you can provide social proof for your product, other people are going to get on board as well.
Yeah, and social proof works two ways. One, in the testimonials and talking about infomercials, they do a great job of showing that other people are using it. But something like iPhones, we can't go anywhere these days in this country without seeing somebody with one of them strapped to their hands. Everybody's got one. All the cool kids are doing it. Why don't you? And if you can get something like that going, it starts small, just one at a time, but building it that way, that's a great way to get people in on these other techniques that we've talked about. You can combine all these techniques and really get a feeding frenzy. Think about how iPhones are launched. You got guys there in the middle of winter sleeping in front of Apple stores wanting to be the first. We got the new iPhone, and I think we were maybe 3 or 4 days late on it, but it was shipped to our house. Shipped right to us. We didn't have to wait at all. We weren't even planning on getting it.
No, we were not going to sleep out in front of the Apple store, I'll tell you that.
So that shows you how powerful that is. People can't even wait 3 days to get their hands on it because they want to be the first. And if you can take advantage of this within your marketing, just either having limited quantities, iPhone does that, having a limited time to get it because 5 days later, you're not as cool as you were if you had it on day one. And then social proof, you can sell a lot.
Even if your product isn't as crazy successful as the iPhone or any iProducts for that matter, you can still show social proof online on your website and show testimonials or videos that people are using your products and are enjoying your products. Get reviews on Amazon, wherever you're selling your product. Just show that other people like it and other people are using it. And that's going to help new customers get on board. Yeah,
reviews. We talked about going to reviews to look and see if somebody else that's like you is using the product already. Social proof. I think anything that you do should be backed up with that. Why don't we wrap this up by talking about features versus benefits? It's something very basic, but I think it's worth saying. Because in the end, when somebody buys, it's not based on features, it's based on benefits.
And no one cares about features. And every client that I've worked with, this is something that we work on. And It's something that you really have to wrap your head around. Is a lot of people do marketing listing off the features of their product or service. I've seen coaches do this, product developers do this, and features are great. They should be on your website. You should be clear about what your features are, but you need to describe to people the benefits they're going to get, the result that is going to occur when they use your product or service. And there's a really big difference there, David.
Think about the acronym FAB, F-A-B, feature, list the feature, show how you would use it, but then explain the benefit. For example, I've got a car, it's got 4 doors, but think about how easy it is for you to get your kids in and out. You don't have to push the seat up. Mom can get in there and wait for the kids to get in. Everybody's more comfortable. Feature, application, benefits. So if you are going to list features, show them how to use them. Show them how they will benefit from them. But in the end, I really think it's about the benefits.
It is. It is. And I think you have to show people the benefits or explain the benefits to people. Don't expect that they're going to understand the benefits of having 4 doors on their car instead of 2 doors on their car. You need to tell them what the benefits are. People can't always make the connection between what you have, connecting it to what they want. So you really have to be creative for them to explain it.
Dumb it down, dumb it down. Never overestimate how well your customers understand. Sometimes, Laurel can attest to this, I think people know what I'm talking about. They've got no idea.
I'm sure we're all in that boat sometimes.
And if you're listening and you don't know what we're talking about, we are happy to answer questions, receive your comments. You can do that via our website at redpodcast.com. We're right in the middle of looking for some new people for our 2015 coaching program. It's a mastermind. You'll get one-on-one help from me and Laurel brainstorming, but there's also a live element to get you connected with other hardworking entrepreneurs. It's not for everybody. It may not be for you. To find out, go to redpodcast.com/red3x for more information and the application, because you do need to apply. Not everybody is accepted. If you're interested, redpodcast.com/red3x. Thanks so much for listening to Red Podcast. Thanks for your support. We'll see you on the next episode.
You've been listening to Red Podcast, Real Entrepreneur Development. Subscribe today using iTunes, Stitcher, or via RSS at redpodcast.com.